Hey, what's up, guys? Carnivore Invictus, driving home from Sam's for my meal prep meat haul. So recently, Epstein's back in the news, and everybody is just out of their minds over it. But a lot of people, I don't think, seem to understand like how penultimately important the Epstein case is, and why, and because it's so important, this is why it's never going to be exposed. So you need to know what's going on here. You need to, like Carlin said, it's a big club, and you ain't in it, and you really need to think about that, and let that sink into your core, because the system does not work for you. It never has worked for you, and it never will work for you. It is not for the people, by the people, of the people. That's a joke. These people don't care about you. These people aren't you. These people most of these people were bred to be, tyrant rulers, especially when you're president and vice president, you're basically bred like a breed, like a thoroughbred or something, like horses are bred to race. These people are bred to be president. If you look into the Obama story, his entire life, really look into it, you can see he's basically a Manchurian candidate. And then look at Macron in France, same thing. They're just Manchurian candidates, and it's some of the sickest shit you've ever seen. So because the Epstein scandal is so important, that it could literally destroy the entire establishment if they actually investigated the crimes, investigated the perpetrators, and prosecuted them. The whole entire paradigm would totally collapse. Everybody would be in prison, because it's all of them. It's all of them. So a lot of people are saying, oh, Pam Botany's got other things to do to be worried about than placating everybody over the Epstein thing. No, she doesn't. This is everything. If you're an attorney general, if Epstein's not at the top of your list of things to rectify and hold accountable, then you're just a flake and a fraud. So, the only thing that I could think of that would be bigger than Epstein would be 9/11. And you'll never see those files either. And you'll never see the JFK files either. Even though pretty much everybody involved with JFK is dead and gone already, they'll never, ever, 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 expose that. Because it just exposes the overall underlying fraud and criminality of the state. And they're just not going to do that. They're not going to put that in, y'all know they did it anyway. You don't know exactly who's responsible, but you all know that the government killed JFK. You all know. Most people know by now, I think. I bet you it's a majority of people, if we really did an honest polling, the majority of people know that government was a black op between multiple government black op agencies, CIA, Mossad. Most people know that, I think. So Epstein is everything, because it's, like I said, it's a big club, and you ain't in it. And in order to get into the big club, you have got to essentially sell your soul. And how do they do that is they set up honeypot operations like Epstein, where they bring you to private places like Epstein Island and Bohemian Grove, and they film you committing acts of total immoral, evil debauchery, such as raping kids. And that's why Epstein, that was Epstein's job, to bring, potential politician and elite establishment kind of inductees to initiate them into the dark occult by having them, just do the most evil things imaginable. How I always say this all the time, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you want absolute power, if you want to be in the absolute power club, then you must be willing to corrupt yourself in the most heinous way possible, which is basically fucking kids. which is basically taking, taking trafficked children from Guatemala or Mexico or Venezuela or wherever, and just absolutely savaging them, and the average person cannot think about how evil that is, but that's how evil it is. And that was Epstein. That was Epstein's job, and he was an agent of Mossad, which only makes the whole thing even more deeper and complicated, because if you expose Epstein, you expose Israel and Mossad, and you realize that it was a honeypot operation for Mossad and Israel, so that you realize every time you see a neocon Zionist politician saying that Israel has a right to exist, even though, as they commit genocide and ethnic cleansing, now with the full backing and participation of the president wanting to turn Gaza into a Riviera, where the Gazans are just shoved out of the way and dispersed among other countries. It's not ethnic cleansing when we do it. It's just common sense. Who would want to live in that hellhole? Well, don't turn it into a hellhole. But anyway, that's another video. But when you hear a politician say things like that, where Israel has a right to exist as they turn Gaza into a parking lot, what you really hear, or what you really should hear, is that Mossad has a video of me raping a toddler, or of doing something in that magnitude. And if I don't say these things, that video will be released to the public. They will find child porn on my computer, or they'll die in a mysterious accident where they shoot themselves in the head with a shotgun, in the back of the head with a shotgun, or I saw one thing. I remember it was just in my memory a day or two ago, where somebody had committed suicide by shooting himself in the head, but there was no gun found at the scene. He shot himself in the head, but the suicide weapon had disappeared from the scene. It's so obvious. They just laugh at you guys. So, and they laugh at you over the Epstein thing. And the Epstein release from Bondi was the biggest fuck you that the government has ever fucked you with. They were just like, here, eat you. They're like, here, eat shit, and you'll eat shit and die before you see these files. And they gave it to establishment, regime hacks like DC Drano. I'm surprised they didn't give it to Cat Turd, who are just Zionist pigs, just total Zionist apologists, grifter slobs. And then they stood there for a photo op holding the binders up, and it was the same shit that's been on the internet for years. And they're like, and then it's like, and then Bondi's like, but before that, Bondi's like, yeah, I had the files on my desk, and it's disgusting. And then she released them, and it's the same shit we've already known about. It doesn't say anything. Not to mention, if you've got the list of names, if you know who they are, why aren't you prosecuting? Where's the prosecution at? Where's the investigation at? You're never gonna see it, because it's all her friends, and it's all her benefactors, and it's all the people who have dirt on her, or if they don't have dirt on her, she probably had a private meeting and said, we will absolutely savage your children in front of your eyes if you release this information. Something to that effect. Kind of like Bill Hicks said, every time a president's elected, they bring you into a room with a smoky room full of capitalist scumfucks, and I don't agree with that, but it's the overall idea of it. They're smoking cigars, and a screen comes down from the ceiling, and a video starts playing of the JFK assassination from an angle you've never seen before. And then afterwards, the lights come back on, and they say, any questions? And the president says, what's my agenda? That's the world, guys. That's the world. And Trump ain't outside of that club. He's part of it, and he's controlled opposition, and you see it every single day. If you really pay attention and you don't delude yourself. And the Epstein debacle is absolute proof positive of this. He said, wouldn't it be interesting if we released the Epstein files? Well, yes, it would be interesting. And then they just gave you a big giant fuck you. They gave you a nothing burger. They spit in your face. They pissed on you. And, you know, a lot of people, I will give credit, are very, very upset about this. They're still delusional. You know, they're like, oh, maybe it'll come to light once, it'll still come to light. But so many people are like just defending Bondi and defending Patel. And, you know, the FBI's not cooperating. She said she had the files on her desk. And she didn't. You know, like she had, if she had the same files on her desk, it's embarrassing for her to say she had the files on her desk when it's the same files we've all been looking at for the last, like, what? I mean, when did this come out? Like, freaking 6 years ago by now? So, yeah. So anyway, just understand that that is why the Epstein case will never be exposed. And that's why you know that Trump is one of them. He's in the big club and you are not. He don't give a rat's ass about you, and he just laughs at you. And he has always been a huckster. He always will be a huckster. I used to work for him in Atlantic City, and anybody who's not delusional, who's worked in Atlantic City, knows the kind of huckster he is and charlatan. He's a thief and a crook, and always has been. And if you look reality in the face and stop being delusional, you know, and just remember what Carlin said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. You'll never be in it. I know that sucks. I know you went to public school and where they taught you for 12 years that the government is yours and you are the government, and you have taxation with representation now, and it's all a giant propaganda pile of bullshit. You know, you got to get that public school out of your minds, guys. The government does not care about you. The government is not you, never has been you. When they created the Constitution, it was a bunch of rich slave owners, you know, who, you know, they had some, it was pretty radical at the time, I guess, but it still wasn't any, you know, it wasn't anything resembling freedom. And, you know, that public school got into your heads that, yeah, this is a bad system, or maybe it's not the best system, but it's the best we got. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's the best we got. You gotta get that out of your head, guys. You gotta get that out of your head, or, you know, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. If this is the best we can do, we're not gonna make it. And anyway, I hope this helps. Just get the delusion out of your head of you know, the way things work. And why you're never going to find out about Epstein, why you're never going to find out about JFK, you're never going to find out about 9/11. You're never, ever, they're just not going to expose themselves because they're all in on it. And they're all in the big club. You know, you're never going to elect an outsider. Like, every once in a while, like maybe Thomas Massie's an outsider, but he's even worse than the insiders who are just, you know, just flagrant scumbags, because you could see them being flagrant scumbags out in the open. And you know that they're scum. And I'm not saying Thomas Massie is a scumbag, but Thomas Massie gives you the illusion that, gosh, man, if only we can elect a few more hundred people like him, we could take our country back, you know. And you just keep participating in it, and you keep electing and re-electing the absolute worst of our society. Every once in a while, one of them slips in. And actually, that's what controlled opposition is. Thomas Massie is controlled opposition, because they may not control him, but Thomas Massie is there like a shining star saying, gosh, if you just could keep participating in the system long enough, we can figure it out, and we'll get this right, guys. We'll get this right after 250 years, and we'll get it right. We'll have freedom in this country again. So, ain't gonna happen, guys. Gotta look reality in the face.